I don't mind oral. I'll go down on a man for an hour, but I'm going to get something out of this, and it's not just a blowjob. If I'm putting in the fucking work, I'm getting the payoff.
There you go. Okay. I can understand that.
So how long are you here for?
We'll know after the third shot tonight what's happening.
I'm starting off with a healthy dose of pussy.
Yeah. I'm Thom Naylor. Hanging out with porn stars and showgirls is fucking awesome. But how much do we really know about them? Join me on the Sidepiece Podcast, where we sit down with them and hear some of the craziest stories from inside the industry. I look forward to seeing you. And follow me on the Sidepiece Podcast. All right, welcome to the Sidepiece Podcast. My guest this time is Chère. Chère, how are you?
I'm good. I'm half awake still.
Oh, see, I feel the same way. I'm sorry I kept you out this afternoon a little lengthy.
Yeah, who needs a nap?
I was cocktailing it while you were eating. I was eating too, but so let's talk about, first of all, you getting in here because you're a native to New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And not only that, you were flying in from New Orleans, and everyone seems to be suffering from the same thing we are, snow and cold. So tell me, what was going on in good old NOLA?
Well, the polar vortex is out of control. I think we maxed out at 13 inches of snow.
I usually max out at like 10.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to see what 13 inches actually looks like for a change.
Oh, very good. That was smart. I like that one. So let me ask you this. I guess I would have to assume that New Orleans has no snowplows. So what did they do? Commandeer neighbors with tractors, or?
So yeah, we have no salt trucks. We have no snow plows. So we made do with the Mardi Gras bulldozers that are usually used for scraping the garbage off of Bourbon Street.
That's, you know what, I should have thought of that.
It was a terrible idea. It just made it all smooth. So it just created black ice where there was none.
Oh God, that's great.
It was a bad idea, but good on them for trying.
Yeah, because I didn't think about it when you first texted me and said it's a sheet of ice everywhere, and I'm like, she's in New Orleans, and then a friend of mine from Pensacola, he sent a video of his truck being snowed in. I'm like, wait a second, Pensacola and New Orleans are kind of at the same level. Yeah. So they're probably experiencing the same weather.
I have cypress knees in my backyard, and as the snow was falling, we were just watching the cypress knees get covered.
Oh, really?
It was really surreal because cypress trees are not supposed to be in the place that's snowing.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be snow covered. So you being a native New Orleanian, what part are you originally from?
Gentilly.
Oh, you are from Gentilly. Okay. I've been out there many times, but is that where the mall is, or the theater?
No.
No.
No, the mall's in Metairie.
Okay, that's right. Thank you.
That's the suburbs.
That's right. Okay.
Don't ever accuse me of being from Metairie.
See, it's been a while. Yeah, because I know just from different areas, but that's one I'm not that familiar with. Just because, if you live there, I guess, and you can understand. I lived in the corridor, so I really never got past, like, River Bend, and I never really got past, like, Elysian Fields. I mean, I did, but I didn't, like, Bayou St. George or Bayou St. John. I got down through there, but that was very rare.
Gentilly's to the east of the park. Okay. That whole section to the east of the park, really.
Well, I got to Lake Pontchartrain a couple of times. That was fun. But at the time, I didn't have a car, and back then it wasn't like there were Ubers all over the place. It was cabs.
Yeah.
And a phone call, no cell phones. Yeah, it was a different time there.
Sounds rough.
Yeah. But New Orleans is like a different world to anybody who's lived there or from there. What do you think about the city nowadays?
I think it's a complete shithole. It's a sinking ship, and
do you think
frankly, it makes me sad. What?
You think it can be saved?
I think it could be. I don't think it's going to be.
Now, I don't want to get too far on New Orleans, but corruption, or do you think it's just the people just don't have it in them?
General corruption. The people who claim to care don't care. They only care about their own interests. And then you've got a bunch of interlopers who come in talking about how much they love New Orleans culture while actively stamping it out. Yeah,
I was going to ask you, what does that look like when you say stamping it out? Because I always see certain things. Do you mean like the nightlife culture, or just like visibly the day-to-day culture of like
the way the
That-
city runs.
Yeah.
Even you can see it in architecture. Everything is like a caricature of what someone from the outside thinks New Orleans is.
Okay. I know what you mean. Like facades going up
Mhm.
are kind of just...
Yeah, sure, it's in the Spanish style, but
It's like Walt Disney
it's-
came in.
yes, it's distinctly modern.
Yeah.
There's no respect for the antiquity of the city.
I'll tell you one of my favorite parts of New Orleans always has been the seedier side of it. Like when somebody would tell me like, when's your favorite time in New Orleans? It's August when there's no tourists, it's locals, and it's just like sex is dripping all over the city because everyone's like, now we get to fuck each other.
One of my friends, Chris Lane, has a joke he does on stage fairly regularly. He calls New Orleans the world's slowest moving orgy. We're all gonna fuck. It's just gonna take 8 months.
Oh, okay. I'm remembering that because that works. Because that's how I always viewed it. I was like, oh, the tourists
One
are
of
going to
those
be...
months.
I think right what I was saying.
It's
is
just 8 months from when you get there, you
Yeah.
know.
that's a
Then,
slow
by
crawl.
then you will have run through everyone in the city because the population's this big.
Yeah, it's a slow crawl. I tell the story a long time ago. I went to Armani and I bought a pair of sunglasses and I went down to Rawhide and I put them on the bar and the bar was so dark inside, so I set them next to the column and I was drinking and I don't know what else was going on in there, but then I left. I walked back to my house and I realized I'd left my brand new sunglasses in the bar. And it was like 2 hours after. I went back and my sunglasses, as I was feeling down the bar in the darkness, they were still sitting on the bar and I grabbed them. I was like, I love this place. Like nobody could see anything. And my glasses, and at the time I think they were like $300, but nowadays that's probably like $600 or something. But I was so pleased that they were there. It was one of my favorite darkened bar stories. But so now, do you live in the quarter now, or are you living outside the quarter? Or
No, I live closer to the park. I
Okay.
don't want anything to do with the quarter.
No.
The quarter's nice for a springtime stroll
Yeah.
when the weather's nice, but I have no use for being in the quarter.
I went down there for a wedding, to film a wedding, and first time down there, and I was done after I left. I was only down there for like 3 days. I was like,
Oh,
I don't think I'm gonna come back for a little bit.
Oh, see, I love it. I don't.
But we like really overdid it. Like we went to Bourbon Street like twice in a row, like 2 nights in a row. And
I mean,
just-
Bourbon Street is a nightmare,
We went
no
wild.
matter who you are, where you're from. I can't
Yeah,
imagine doing it more than one day in a
Oh,
row.
I was,
that's true.
I'm good now.
See, because I just go to the gay
I'm never
end. The
going
gay
back.
end's fine. That's the straight end is just that's a
There's
lot.
gay and straight ends.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like that lavender line.
What end were you on?
yeah, yeah. What
Now I'm
end?
questioning. I'm like, what the fuck?
Were you on the receiving end?
I don't. I'm curious now.
Yeah, I think they still call it the lavender line. Like there's like the little purple line they have, and that divides like the straight quarter from the gay quarter. That's where like, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I did a lot of nitrous balloons there and ended up in the curb a couple times on the lavender line.
Yeah, there's like a whole section of the French Quarter where all the gay bars are within walking distance of one
Yeah.
another.
Makes it easy.
Makes it easy.
You can
Good
run
Friends,
from one
Corner
place to the
Pocket,
next.
Oz. They're not all necessarily on Bourbon.
Oh yeah, corner pocket. Oh my God.
I'm sure you have a good Corner
I
Pocket
have.
story.
I have a lot of stories from there. I don't even know if I could tell one on here, but should I tell you one? Just a brief one.
Yeah,
Okay.
give it to me.
Because she's going to be able to verify. Yeah, I was say she's probably got a good one that'll follow this. A good friend and I, we were down there for Mardi Gras. And we kind of went on just on a whim. It was like, oh, friends of ours are there. Let's go down. So I flew down. I got off the plane and immediately went to Absinthe House. And we had a couple drinks there. And someone said, well, let's go down to the Corner Pocket. And I was like, oh God, I hate that place. We get down there. There's a bunch of strippers that were on the bars dancing. The place is a shithole. Oh, I shouldn't say that. It's not the prettiest place. It's not the prettiest
It's
place.
a dive.
It's a dive bar.
Most
Eh.
of them are dives.
Yeah, so these guys were dancing, and my friend said, I bet we can pay 2 of these dancers to come off the stage with us and hang out with us for the day. And I was like, Sure, why not? Like, what could be the harm in hiring 2 guys off the bar? So,
If people do it with strippers all the time
Yeah.
in other clubs.
and that's why I figured, why not? I'll ask. And so we said to the manager there, I said, "Well, would you be mad if we asked 2 of your dancers to leave? Like, what would it take for us to ask them off the bar? Like, what would it cost you, and what would it cost us?" And he told us a number, and we were agreeable. We went to the 2 dancers, and we said, "Are you cool with being bought off the stage for at least 5 or 6 hours?" They were like, "Yeah." So we had 2 basic hookers off the stage.
Can you do that here?
No, we could not do that in here. But
There was a time.
there was a time
where you could check girls out of the strip club and
Yes.
bring them back.
There was
Like we're library
return
books.
policy. No, but I ended up at Hustler Club because it was the easiest place. I called and I said, there was me that was coming, and they said, "Oh, we'll have a table upstairs in the VIP." So we got upstairs, and here we have these 2 guys with us, and I think everyone in the club knew that we had 2 prostitutes with us. It was very apparent. And next thing I knew, I was in the back room doing dances with 2 different dancers, and they had something really interesting. They had stalls with like a red light, green light.
Mm-hmm. They
And
still have them.
Yeah, and
They
you
have
put
them
the
at
money
Hustler
in.
and Barely Legal.
It's so weird. It's so.
I love them.
But it makes it easy.
I've never made more money off dances than when I've worked in those clubs.
Okay, good. So
Those
my
machines
story
are
had a good point then.
fantastic.
All right, so that makes sense. So let's talk about that, because there's where my story ends. That it was a little out of control at that point, and finally we were like, okay, I think we can send the boys back to the bar, and then we'll just go have fun in New Orleans. But that back room, I wasn't sure if I liked it because you would put the money in. How does it work?
So however much money you put in, I think you have to put in at least enough for one dance. I don't
Yeah.
know how much one dance was when you were
I don't
going
remember.
there.
There was a lot of money going in there.
But I think right now,
That's all I could tell.
I think right now it's $40 to start the machine.
Yeah.
And once the machine started, you could put $5 in. You
Once
could
that
put
machine's going, it's going.
100 in there. And I believe it can go up to an hour on the timer.
I think
so.
that's
However
it.
much money you put in there, it automatically times it that long. And then at the end of the night, when we check out, the machine has, or the computer system has kept a record of everything, because I don't know if you noticed her putting this little mag thing in.
Yes,
first.
I was going to say she had a little. Like
Those
a
are
key
our
thing.
keys, and it's attached to our name and our account. And at the end of the night, when they pull us up to check us out to do our house fees and stuff, we get paid out whatever went through there.
Cool, because I thought I wasn't sure if that worked really well for the dancers, or if that was really more of a club side of just keeping track of everything. But I mean,
It's definitely not. It's not necessarily meant to be just for us.
there wasn't a lot of supervision.
It came.
However, every
It
so
came
often I
about
got
because they were like, "This is the only way we're going to get all our money."
Yeah.
But it happens to benefit us.
Yeah, it seemed like there was no like VIP manager watching, but then
On
like I said,
regular
every so
dances,
often,
no. But if you're doing a room, then there's somebody who's around.
okay, because that made sense. Because every so often I would get like a hand signal from somebody that'd walk through and they'd be like, "Calm down."
Mm-hmm.
So, not that there's anything bad happening.
They're just there to make sure everything is above board in
Yeah.
those areas.
Yeah, and they knew us, so they knew. And Christ, they knew I'm gay, so it's not going to get too far out of hand. And so was my friend, but we just have a good time. But that was my corner pocket and Hustler Club moment.
I've had some of the most fun shifts I've ever had at Hustler.
Yeah, it was fun. So let's talk about. Okay, so are you planning on staying in New Orleans, or are you planning on leaving New Orleans and finding life somewhere else?
The plan is to leave New Orleans as soon as possible.
Oh,
The plan has been to leave New Orleans for quite a while. I keep trying. I keep ending up coming home.
so if I plan to get hookers and party and catch you, I got to get there soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you're going to fly me back in.
That's right. I gotta
I'm very amenable to the hookers and party scene.
I had a feeling you'd be okay with it all.
Oh, yeah. I love party culture. I just don't want to be forced to do drugs and drink.
That's right.
Like,
yeah.
I will have as much fun as you're having. Just don't pressure me into doing anything I don't want to do.
See, I don't
Because
pressure
then my
anybody
whole
into
attitude
drugs, but that
changes.
means less for me. No, I'm kidding. No, you know, I agree with you, because I have that same feeling when I'm out, that I'm very capable of saying no.
Mhm.
And when I say no, though, that means no, and that's the end of no. Like
And I'm not
I shouldn't have to keep
having a
saying
good
it.
time.
Yes.
It's a lot of people's minds. It's, well, she's sober. She's not having as much fun as we are. I can have as much fun as you can have
Maybe
completely
more.
sober.
Maybe more.
And I will remember everything tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that goes without saying. Even when I was in New York this past week, and a friend of mine says to me, I don't have a memory of what happened. I only have what Thom Naylor tells me happened. It's 'cause obviously he likes to imbibe a lot. So, which leads me to my next topic with you. I thought a lot about you because when I met you first, you were obviously sitting inside a goblet, which was cool.
My absinthe glass.
Yes, your absinthe glass. And I went to House of Yes this weekend and was watching all these performers, and I really should have asked if they knew you, because it should have been like a sixth sense to me that you would have performed there. And then talking to you, when you said you performed there, I said, that was really dumb of me. I should have said who's coming to my club.
Well, I haven't been there since before COVID.
They'd remember you. That place is so intriguing and interesting, but you
I
gave
took
me
a
some great
guitarist
insight.
home from there once.
Oh. So tell me about that.
That one's not super crazy of a story. He was there to play the guitar for somebody's act, and men think they're being coy. They think they're being slick. I know.
She had a plot.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah. He had a plot. He served a purpose.
say,
He wasn't
so many
like
of us fill that position.
he wasn't like drop dead gorgeous or anything, but
Yeah.
I have a thing for guitar players.
Is it the fingering?
No, because their fingers are rough.
That's true.
Because from all the finger picking
Oh
and
yeah, that's true.
the fretboard. No, both. Like the fretboard really takes a number on your fingertip,
So
and
you
then
just have to
from
knuckle you.
finger picking,
No fingering, knuckling.
we're gonna have to feel your hands.
Yeah.
Show me your calluses.
Do you use a pick or your fingers?
Yeah, but he thought he was hunting me, but that's very rarely
Oh, so you
how
were
it
like
is.
a lioness then.
If you ever see me drinking in public and taking shots, those aren't shots, and I meant for you to see it.
Oh.
Because
performance.
by shot number 3, they will come talk to me, so I don't have to.
Yeah. Oh.
I absolutely hate having to approach a man, and I will, if it's like the only way I'm going to get what I want, I will approach a man, but I don't ever want to have to be the one to make the first move. So I'll lay the trap, and by drink 3, almost without fail, they will come talk to me.
Now, should I ask, do your objectives always change, or are they all kind of the same? Do you pretty much have the same goal?
Yeah, usually the same goal.
So it's never like, this is like an oral night, or this is going to be this kind of night.
Oh,
It's
no.
like, it's a full-blown night.
Right.
Okay, hey, there you go.
I don't mind oral. I'll go down on a man for an hour, but I'm going to get something out of this, and it's not just a blowjob. If I'm putting in the fucking work, I'm getting the payoff.
There you go. Okay, I can understand that.
So how long are you here?
We'll know after the third shot tonight what's happening.
I'm starting off with a healthy dose of pussy.
Yes. that might stall it a little bit. Yeah, talking about that, one of the things you did explain to me, which was nice, that some of that I had wanted to see more scenery or more background or eye candy, but you were saying that those are really ensemble casts that just kind of are cobbled together,
Mm-hmm.
Which I would have thought that they were not like that. But so tell me, just from the outside, do you like performing in that kind of setting, or is that more that disjointedness not comfortable for you? You would rather be...
As a ballerina, that took a lot of adjustment. Realizing New York performers are in a league of their own, but a lot of burlesque dancers don't rehearse.
Yeah.
A lot of them do. A lot of them don't rehearse. There's no rehearsal days. You just come in day of show, you do a tech rehearsal, which is very rarely a full run through of all the acts. It's usually just, these are my lighting cues, let's hear the levels on the sound, let me get a feel for the stage kind of rehearsals. So it was very jarring coming in from ballet and being in a review like that. But I've grown accustomed to it over the years, and it's fine. I do miss knowing exactly what everyone's going to do when I come into work.
Yeah.
But you get a little bit of that when you get into group act territory and when you have troops. And I've been a part of a couple of burlesque troops. I don't recommend those, though.
Now, are there any guide rails when you're there, or is it just kind of like stay within this, or is it like, hey...
Depends on the type of show. So if it's a troupe, then it's a lot clearer what the rules of the troupe are and what kind of show that troupe is putting on.
Yeah.
If it's just a themed show, then stay within this particular theme. This show is all music by Depeche Mode, so make sure your act is to Depeche Mode, but you can do any crazy... You can do a funny act, you can do a sexy act, you can do a sad act, just as long as it's to Depeche Mode. But you get that kind of information on the casting calls or when the booking inquiry is sent.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, I want to say a couple months ago, but Angel, Bo, myself, and her husband, Nick, and my friend who we hired the hookers together, we went to see Jake Dupree.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. And we communicate often, and we try and do things together to get to see different shows. And he's in Paris now, and I always ask him, like, what's it feel like, because he goes out solo, and then all of a sudden he's with a group of people, and then he's with a group of dancers as backup dancers. Mm-hmm. And so he's not really the lead anymore, he's like in the background. Is that a hard adjustment when you're so used to being the center, and then all of a sudden someone says, hey, Chère, you're going to be kind of in the background a little bit? Are you like, it's not my gig, like I'm not really that into it?
Depends on the situation that it's in.
I know that was an odd question, but
that's the natural way of things to me.
Yeah.
In ballet, you move from like the corps de ballet as the lower tier, and you move up through soloist and principal dancer, and when you get to principal, it would kind of be an insult to be thrown back into the corps. But when you're in any sort of troupe in theater, you understand that it isn't about you. Even if you're the principal, even if you're the star, even if it's your name on the marquee, you have a part to play in the entire cast.
Okay, yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's about the show. It's not about you. Perhaps you are the show. Like in Dita Von Teese's review, Dita is the star. Her name is on it. She is the show. But even she is surrounded by dancers and becomes a part of the troupe itself.
Yeah.
Her costume's a little sparklier than everyone else's, but they're all in like tuxedos for this number.
So when you're thinking about performers, who's one that, I wouldn't say you idolize, but who's one that you look to and you think that, well, there's somebody that has their shit together and I like watching their shows, or you like the themes that they use? Is there a particular performer that stands out to you, or do you have a couple? I
mean, like the phone-in answer is always Dita, but I don't look up to Dita for the reasons you would assume.
Yeah.
It's not just because she's the sparkliest or she's the biggest name, but because she has found herself in rooms by accident.
Yeah.
And she has known exactly what to do in those rooms to get to where she is. Every time an opportunity presents itself, she is very good at capitalizing on it. She has remarkable business acumen, and that's how she's been able to build her brand up, where she has a Las Vegas residency with her name on it. So I find that very aspirational. But I can't say I really take much from any particular burlesque dancer. It's more of an amalgamous thing. I consume so much media around burlesque that you just kind of pick things up by osmosis, and I guess that's how trends are formed in burlesque. Like once upon a time it was all tiny hats and bustle skirts, and then it moved into giant props.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's and that theater she's in, that's amazing, that theater.
Oh, you've been to this one at Voltaire?
Oh yeah, That theater is like a candy store. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I missed when she was at the Jubilee Theater at Bally's, or it's Horseshoe again.
Yeah.
But actually, I was in town for one of Gracie's things.
Okay.
And I was staying at the Horseshoe. It was still Bally's then. And I was just walking through the casino floor, and I saw Adita over by the entrance to the Jubilee Theater.
Oh, really?
And I can't remember who I was with. I think I was with one of my photographer friends. And I was like, oh, my God, that's Dita. I bet you she's talking about doing a show here.
Yeah.
And it was like 2 weeks or a month or so later, she announced that she was doing the Jubilee Theater show.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I was amazed. When I walked into that theater, it was thrilling. Like the ceiling effects and the balls that are dropping, back and forth, and all the shimmering crystal stuff. And like then it's almost like a gay Superman's lair. It's really weird. That's the only way to describe it.
I went to go see that show for my birthday last year.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, what made me think of you again is during and I wish I could remember what Jake's show was called, but there was a girl that does like a tripograph photography, like a frame inside of a frame inside of a frame. She's like laying on a mattress, and they have close-up cameras on her and close-up cameras on sides, and they're projecting it on all these screens, and she's talking on the phone while like rolling around sexually. It was intense. It was like one of the best scenes I've ever gotten to watch, and while they were performing it, I thought this is what burlesque and these stage performances should look like. It's so well thought out.
Yeah.
That it was just so artistic, and so, I thought it was really highbrow. It was just, and I think some of the people, even in the audience, were like, what the fuck is going on? Because they just didn't get the connection that it was supposed to be so vulgar. And she was literally like a whore laying around, and it worked. But are you thinking about going to that level of performance? Like, did you want to go that big?
I would love to.
Yeah.
I don't have the opportunities yet to
Not
make
yet.
those sorts of things happen.
Not yet.
Like, you've seen my big absinthe glass.
Yeah.
That was like my dream prop that took forever to find someone to build. Before that, I was doing that act in just someone's champagne glass I could rent for the day.
Yeah.
But I finally got one built that looks like an absinthe glass for my Green Fairy act. And that act is like, right now it's a 7-minute act. It's supposed to be like a 9 to 12 minute act.
Okay. What's it like transporting that stuff?
That's part of the problem. I had to buy a trailer. I drive a Jeep, so I'm able to trailer my own props, but a lot of people can't do that.
That's a pain in the ass.
I also have a giant phone receiver. It's just a sex couch that I painted to look like a phone receiver, and it actually goes with one of the shows that I'm performing tonight, and I do acrobatics on that.
Okay.
But the issue is...
Do we have to bring a couch down for you tonight?
Do you have to what?
We can bring a couch down for you, a small one.
It's not quite the same. I don't think I can do the poses on a regular couch. I'm going to sink in. I'm going to lose a foot.
You might.
But one of the major obstacles is a theater that can handle the lighting requirements and just the tech requirements for those sorts of intricate acts.
Yeah.
Having a competent stage crew, because you can't do it with, when I'm doing feature dancing, I'm often relying on just a floor host to be my stagehand.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the literacy necessary to work with that kind of intricate act. You need a stage that's big enough. You need a stage that isn't obstructed by a pole often, unless the pole is part of the act. You have to be able to transport these props and have the budget for that. So the major obstacle is budget. Second tier obstacle is space, and third tier is manpower to make it happen. Because it's one person on stage, but every time you see one of those solo acts that makes you go, wow, there's 10 other people that made that happen.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of people in the background. So what's your look when you think about Chère Noble? What's your look? What do you? What's your go-to? Because I look at your Instagram and I love the fact that I'm using this in the best way. It's all over the place, and I love that because it's the same theme, but you have so many great looks that are not connected to the next look. It's very different. And I mean that in the most positive way, because sometimes you see people's Instagram and you're like, I've seen that 12 times just now, like bang, 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 bang. It's the same kind of look. Yours, I see something new and I'm like, wow, okay, when did that happen? And it's almost like the next day there's a new thing. And I'm like, okay, she looked very different yesterday. So that's exciting to me, that I look at somebody and I think, how hard is it for you to keep creating those looks? And what's the look that like you really gravitate to? I mean, is it the...
One major part of that is that I'm often collaborating with whoever took the picture.
Okay.
And not all those ideas are mine.
Okay.
A lot of them are collaborative efforts. Sometimes I'm just the vehicle that someone else's idea came to life through.
Yeah. I love that.
So I can't take credit for a lot of those looks. Sometimes I have a hair and makeup team, not very often, and they make that happen. But these days, if I'm styling myself, I go for more like late 90s Pam Anderson. Because
Funny you say that. Go ahead.
I feel like we've moved away from that look as a society, but I happen to look good like that. And when I was growing up, that was the ideal woman that was shoved down my throat.
Yeah.
So I grew up, and I can't even say it's conscious, I just kind of moved towards that look. And by the time I was an adult and could really capitalize on that, that wasn't the style anymore.
Yeah.
But now I can kind of carve my own niche by using this vintage inspired look.
Well, I never thought of her, and two people mentioned her last night before you came. They were like, she looks a lot like a sexier Pamela Anderson. I was like, let me look at her again.
I do a barbed wire act now.
Oh, do you?
Because enough people had said that.
Yeah.
But my personal
great movie.
style is really formed around late 90s, early 2000s bombshells.
Yeah. Shane, have you ever seen that movie? Barbed Wire? With Pamela Anderson? It's really a good movie. I love it.
I think it's a terrible movie, but I love it.
That's what I mean.
It's
yeah.
a terrible movie in the same way Showgirls is a terrible movie.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. It's fun
Campy.
to watch. She just, I don't know what to say about it. Like, it's just...
I feel like that movie only exists because the writer, director, whoever was in charge of that, just wanted to see Pamela Anderson in these outfits. Yeah. It's his personal kink project.
Like Tank Girl. People will tell me, like, oh, Tank Girl's a terrible movie. I'm like, it's not terrible. It's Tank Girl. But it's all about...
Barbed Wire is like a step below Tank Girl in quality. Definitely a step above in outfits, but movie quality.
Yeah, every time I even think about that, I remember when I went to go see that movie and everybody was like, that movie's going to be trash. And I was like, oh, I love it.
I remember watching an interview with Pam Anderson talking about it.
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't even know what that movie was about. I'm like, thank you.
She was in a David Lynch version of Barbed Wire. So, when you're performing too, okay, so I ask everybody this. When you show up at a performance or a competition, who's somebody that you're always like, shit, she's coming? Or is it always like, oh, good, she's coming, so I'm going to play to the top of my game? Like, do you ever feel like there's not a nemesis, but there's somebody out there that just like you really hate competing against?
I do not go into competitions ever expecting to win, so I don't have the knee-jerk, like, oh, well, I'm going to lose. But I do go into competitions, and I can usually clock pretty easily who's going to win, and anytime Autumn Nights is on the bill, everyone else can go home.
We were talking about that at lunch.
You could just go home.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about her. Like right now, she's not, I mean, it's not that she's just attractive. I think it's just, you can see her dedication.
She's an Olympian.
Yeah, she's
very fit.
She is a god that has graced us.
The way she moves is like very...
Yeah,
like
it's flawless.
Before she or I were feature dancing, or I assumed she was not feature dancing at this time, I was working with her at the Lodge in Dallas.
Oh, yeah. I think she mentioned that when we did the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I've always wanted to go to the Lodge. A long time ago, that was kind of inspirational to me, the way that I used to hear it was run. She had daycare for people, for the dancers, and she had 401ks to set up. And
It's an excellent club.
yeah,
I've never made an assload of money there or anything, but I enjoy being there enough. I keep going back when I'm in town.
I have a whole picture in my head, but it looks like some kind of sleazy sex
No.
lodge. And then that's not what it really is at all.
No, it's gorgeous.
That's what I've always heard.
It's it's like a hunting lodge you would expect someone from like the early 20th century to have.
Really?
There's a library,
That's
and
what I've heard.
it's actually full of books, and then there's like, I guess, the den area, and there's this beautiful wood stage that's built up on rocks, and there's this rock formation over it that you come out of the cave, and there's taxidermy animals
See,
all
now I got
over it.
that.
There's no pole in the middle of main stage. It's absolutely gorgeous. But what Autumn does that most of the other girls don't do is she does aerial on that main stage.
Okay.
So seeing her come out of that cave and then also climb her silks
Yeah.
in front of this gorgeous backdrop is a totally different experience than any Autumn you've even seen.
I was stoked
Yeah.
to just catch her Catwoman performance.
Oh, I didn't know she did Catwoman.
Yeah, she did that here.
I'll show you on the.
Yeah, it was. And when she told me that she bought it on Amazon for like $15, I was like, get the fuck out
She
of
wears
here.
that $15 very well.
Yeah, that was like,
They've
I'm
started
buying one of
having
those.
Catwoman costumes that cheap?
yeah.
Whatever she
That
got is.
It
It's
was
the
made-
one
it was
with the
plastic.
stitches.
No, she
stitches,
has
right?
another one. This one is like, it looks like it's made out of plastic bottle caps.
It's
It's all holy.
Oh.
it looks very like you can do any movement.
It looks like a cat suit, like a real cat suit. I mean, it's. When I asked her where she got it, she was like, Amazon, something or other, play sets or play costumes. I was like,
No.
get out of here. She was like, yeah, it's like $20. I'm like, come on.
Sometimes those cheap box outfits make great costumes.
Well, I don't know. It must have been made for a toddler because she filled it out like it. I was like, that thing was like just skin tight, perfect. I was like, okay, that's a good $20.
Money well spent.
Yeah. So let's talk about more of your outfits because there's one look that Shane and I looked at, and I think I told you this. It's you with the blue fur coat.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is a great porn image.
Mm-hmm.
You look very porn. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
But that was not the image that we were going for. And so when he pulled the posters and I was like, oh, he didn't use the blue coat, I was shocked. But tell me about the difference between that blue coat pose and like the pose we used for your poster.
So, I mean, you kind of already pointed it out. One reads like it's the promo for my porn debut.
Yeah.
It's very much sexual. Even the shots that are not particularly nude, you know I'm gonna get naked.
Yeah.
Also, that's one of my stage costumes as a feature dancer, which is automatically more sexualized than my burlesque
Now, that was one you did
costumes.
last night.
That whole look is for the male gaze.
Yeah.
It's shot by a male photographer who is a fantastic photographer. That was a completely impromptu shoot we did at our Airbnb for Expo. The one in the
with
blue coat with
and
the
her,
pink
like,
glasses.
streamed out across like a. It's almost like she's like on a. Yeah. The one you and I talked about. Yeah, she was on the hood of a car. She was like on the hood of a car, or what were you on? You were like
No, I
laid
was
out
on an
something.
orange chair.
That's it. Yeah.
I'll have to go back because I picked one that was more sexual, and then I picked one that was more
Yeah.
like Happy New Year type vibe
Mhm.
in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
It
picked
worked out.
my green
both ways.
fairy one is
I like both,
one of
yeah.
my most popular promo images. I was shot by my friend Ricky in Dallas. I've been shooting with him for years. But yeah, that blue coat set is shot for the male gaze. It's shot by a man, and it's meant to arouse you. Whereas
Yeah.
the other things are the other pictures that you did end up choosing. One of them is shot by her name's Raya, but her company name is Your Hollywood Portrait. That's the one where I'm laying back with a big braid in my hair, covered by the feathers.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a pretty film.
That was shot by a woman who wanted to create an ethereal image. It's meant to showcase the look and the artistry of it all. It's not meant to arouse you.
Yeah.
That's
And
one of the ones I used.
Mhm.
As soon as I saw that one, I was like,
Yeah, that's a pretty
Off
one.
to the side, I'm using this one.
And then the Green Fairy one is meant to showcase the costume and advertise the act. So I think the intention behind the shoot itself reads in the way it's shot.
Yeah, no, I'm impressed with all of the material that you put.
Mm-hmm.
They were used one.
They were what?
She's lying right now. No, I'm kidding. She's, no, no.
Use the photo of you in like the.
Yeah.
Okay. Just make sure.
So now you're 5'3".
Mm-hmm.
Now tell me the hair, because I'm digging the Jane Fonda hair. But I know you told me, so we won't rehash it. But it's all real hair,
Mm-hmm.
and you can tell. I mean, it does not look fake. And
Oh, thank God.
do people really ask you if it's extensions? Because you can tell that that's real.
People ask me all the time if it's extensions. I do have a halo extension sometimes that I use for photo shoots to make it thicker,
Yeah,
but my hair is longer than the extension.
let me see. Turn around a little.
It doesn't look very long.
Yeah, no, that's long. Yeah,
You gotta stretch the
and and what is the color?
White.
It is white.
White.
It is white.
Silver white.
No, it looks very good. Now, what's your natural hair color?
So
Silver white.
I was born with red hair, and then it turned like a gold color, and then now it's just a mousy brown.
Yeah.
You were born with red hair.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a ginger.
Arguable. I feel like it does. If it doesn't stick, it doesn't count.
Correct. Yeah. No, my niece is a ginger, and she's
You
always
didn't
like,
your red hair?
Oh, I love red hair.
I was about to say. I feel like that would
I look great as a redhead. I just look better like this.
So now, have you thought about ever going into? I mean, since you are a sex worker now, but have you ever thought about going like the full blown like adult sex worker? You know, like OnlyFans account.
Well, I have an OnlyFans. It's just I don't do porn.
Yeah.
I don't even do like masturbatory content. And yes, I have thought about it. When I was like between 12 and like 15, there was a period that I was like, I'll probably grow up and do porn.
Yeah.
Like-
I'm still saying that. Maybe I'll grow up and do porn.
But ultimately, I just don't want to. I don't think anything's wrong with doing porn.
Do you feel like you lose out a little though in the industry?
I definitely lose out. I could definitely go further if I did do porn.
Yeah.
But the thing that really keeps me out of the porn industry is the idea that my butthole's going to be on the internet forever.
Yeah.
Like you can't disappear
Why,
as
is it not-
things
is your
currently
butthole
stand.
not pretty enough for the internet?
I just don't. That's a little too invasive for me.
That's also white. And silver.
Yeah. That's,
I'll show you later.
That's white and silver.
I know several girls with tattoos around their asshole.
Yeah.
So you never know what's lurking down there.
No, you don't. No, but I always ask everybody that because it's a common occurrence that, like, you know, does it lead you there, or at some point are you like, oh, I'm not making money anymore as a burlesque dancer, so maybe I'll start doing some OnlyFans or.
Yeah, every now and then you get those slow periods where you start considering, like, "Oh, maybe I should do porn."
Now, do
But
you
I
have
just
any
don't
influence at
want to.
home where somebody tells you, like a significant other, that's like, yeah, babe, I'm not really into that if you're going to go down that road?
I would never be with someone who would tell
Oh.
me that I can't do something I want to do.
I like you more and more.
I have absolutely no tolerance for being told how to live my life.
Now, obviously, is there someone in your life now that, are they in the industry or are they out of this completely and they enjoy
I can't
you
s-
being a part of it?
I can't say I've ever dated anybody who has been directly involved in the industry.
Yeah. And do you like it that
Or I
way?
guess I have. I have dated a strip club manager,
Oh, okay.
but you know he's never been on stage.
He's
And
only pushed people on stage.
he was always very supportive of the girls.
Yeah.
He was somewhat of a father figure to everybody. So
Now, do you have a crazy club story that you'd like to share? Yeah. Something that you've done that was
every year
noteworthy?
Every year for Father's Day, for most of my career, I will go on stage and dance to a song called Daddy Issues by The Neighborhood.
Okay.
Sometimes, like, I'm not even working that full shift. I just go in because that's my tradition.
Yeah.
One year I did it with a teddy bear head on.
Oh, really?
So I was like, I was the giant teddy bear, and then I take the teddy bear head off, and I was dry humping the teddy bear on stage. It was really dark, but I also made a lot of money.
Yeah. I'm
Make a
sure.
lot of money doing the dark shit.
Now, where's your favorite place to perform? Have you found a
Do you mean perform burlesque, feature dance, or strip?
Okay, let's go with strip.
My favorite place to strip is probably Hustler in New Orleans.
Okay.
Very closely followed by Rick's Cabaret. I liked Rick's Cabaret before their remodel. Their stage used to be a runway, and you'd come out of these curtains.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And you'd go down the runway, and at the end of the runway, there was a grate in the floor, and there was a fan that you could turn on before you went on stage. So you'd go to the end, and your hair would fly like a...
So is the stage no longer in that
No.
odd corner kind of...
They took the whole stage out, and then they put a square low stage in the center of the room, like everywhere else. And I mean, tip money for everyone has gone up since then because more people can access the stage. It's more of the
I always liked the way
event.
it came out of that weird... It just came out strangely.
Yeah, I liked the runway a lot more. And it was better for me because that's where I first started dancing, was that Rick's Cabaret. And I developed my signature run and jump and spin around the pole there.
Okay.
So having that runway to get a good running start it was much more conducive to my show.
They always reminded me of of me taking acid and watching Dr. Caligari, because with those mirror framed out kind of, it was coming out crooked. And I was kind of like, well, that's so kind of disjointed all over the place. But I liked the way it looked.
They still have all the mirrors. They also remodeled the VIP section on the first floor.
Oh yeah, that little upper deck.
That is really gorgeous. The remodel they did back there.
Huh. Yeah, because I remember that wasn't that fancy. That was just like a stage up, like a couple steps up, and there was a bar up there.
Yeah, they still have the bar in the back, but they changed all the seating. It's somewhere between Art Deco and Art Nouveau.
Oh, nice.
With a modern twist.
Now I know I have something I'm going to do with you, and I have to find it. We're gonna try and play this real quick and see how you do. And I've never done it before, and Shane's probably thinking, here we go, something crazy's about to happen. I have an ad lib, considering from the inauguration and everything else. It won't be too political, but it should be in nature. So I'm going to get some words from you, and just forgive me. So the first one I'm going to need is an adjective.
Suddenly I can't parse.
Let's see.
Morose.
Okay. Okay, the next word, I need a famous person.
Adam Lambert.
What made you think of Adam?
I saw a video earlier, him talking about being the MC for Cabaret.
Oh yeah, well he got pissed off about the Holocaust joke. A friend of mine hangs out with him in L.A. The two of them are like bosom buddies.
He was my first concert. I was in love with him.
I play a song downstairs from him. I'll play it tonight.
Okay.
I'm not gonna tell you which one it is. I'm gonna see if you know what it is. Let's see. We're gonna need a verb.
Chase.
Okay. Let's see. We're gonna need an emotion.
Well, I already said morose. Ecstatic.
Okay. Let me see. I'm gonna need a country.
That's not a country anymore. Croatia.
Wow. Okay. And then a place.
Montenegro. I used to play Mad Libs with my mom as a kid.
Sure, okay.
Let's see.
It's way more fun if it's
I
off
need
the
a-
wall shit.
I was about to say,
So then I'll do a plural noun. And I'm not going to do all of it. We're just going to do half of it. So a plural noun.
Plural noun.
know some of these are
Oxalotls.
oxalatus.
Oxalotls.
Oh.
It's an animal.
She's just trying to touch your spelling, honestly.
This is now a spelling bee.
Okay. And then a length of time.
Did you know a parsec is not a length of time?
No, that is not a length of time.
Millennium.
Okay, let's see. Are we ready? This is called The End of the World. After a morose presidential election. Oh, wait, okay. Wow. Okay, it's called The End of the World. After a morose presidential election, the American people have elected Adam Lambert to the office of President of the United States. Their first executive order: chase all of the nation's nuclear weapons. Unfortunately, Croatia saw this as an act of, what was that word? Exacerbating? No.
Oxalotl?
No, you had the next one was,
Oh, ecstatic?
yeah, ecstatic. That's it. God, I couldn't read my writing. Saw this as an act of ecstatic and deployed their military to Montenegro. Oh my God.
I'm not even sure Croatia has a standing military.
Yeah. So let's see.
She's fucking you up.
Wow. Deployed their military to Montenegro. The stock market crashed and people went without oxalatus for a millennia. That's a lot.
I think that counts as an extinction of oxalotl.
I had a few. I was looking at that and I was like, I think Adam Lambert took the presidency was enough. So,
I win.
yeah, I think I'll have to be messaging them to see what they have to say. God. Yeah, he seems to have taken a friend of mine, Trossi. He dresses in a lot of extravagant kind of non-gender outfits, and the two of them have really kind of hit it off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they just hit the party scene together all the time. But so let's ask you a couple last questions just to see what else you've got going on. I know that you've been a baby stripper, you've been a dancer, you've been a feature, a burlesque dancer. What was your first dancer name?
Valeria.
Valeria.
Yeah.
Is that from the Space Odyssey?
No, so there's a Russian name, Valeria,
Okay.
and Valeria is where all the white-haired people come from in Game of Thrones.
That's
So
right.
I thought, everyone
Hence the Jane Fonda hair.
assumes that I'm Eastern European anyway,
Okay.
and I knew that going into it, and I was like, well, I'll either get a nerd or I'll lean into the stereotype.
Oh, you leaned into the nerd earlier this afternoon when we were at lunch, but we'll get to that.
So what's your background?
My family is all Magyar. It's the natives of Hungary.
See, that should have been on her Mad Lib. Bitch. No, I'm kidding. Let's see. So, your name now, because I know everybody kept saying, is it a play on the nuclear catastrophe? I'm like, I don't think so. But you solved that up unknowingly for me today. I didn't even ask. Where did you get that name?
So I have the same birthday as reactor number 4.
Okay.
Which is the reactor that melted down. And also, Chernobyl translates to wild wormwood,
Yes.
which is the hallucinogen, or, there's no hallucinogenic properties in absinthe, but the thing that made you see the green fairy is wormwood. And my signature act is the green fairy.
So it all works.
So it all
Nice.
comes together.
And she had her nerd moment today when we were at lunch. It worked out very well. We had a woman who had great arms who was sitting next to us.
She also had great abs.
Yeah, and great abs, which she proceeded to pull. Well, she didn't do it alone. I provoked her. I said, just pull your shirt up. And let's see. And she did. She had a great body.
She's a walking advertisement for CrossFit.
Yeah. How old do you think she was?
I don't know. She
Late 40s?
seemed to think 29 was young.
Yeah.
So
She
I
was
would
younger
say
than me,
late 40s.
so I know she was in her 40s. But she looked amazing.
Where'd you guys go?
Old Ebbet. That's always where you see people pull their shirts up. And then, in the meantime, she says the boyfriend or the gentleman that she'd been seeing for a couple months that was next to her, she said, well, he's got a great body too. He's got a six-pack and muscles. And I'm thinking, okay, well, show me your six-pack too. Meanwhile, yeah.
This is a house of equality.
Yeah. Up with the shirt. So as I was trying to get him to get the shirt, she had him cornered on the backside, and she was doing nerd talk because he's a physicist.
No, I think he said he was a nuclear engineer.
Or a nuclear engineer.
He said that he has the same job as Dyatlov, which I don't expect you to know anything about this, but in at the Chernobyl reactor, the guy who was in charge that night, his name was Dyatlov, and it's kind of his fault that everything.
I mean, I watched the whole thing.
So,
Oh, you watched the show?
I started watching it. I just never finished.
well, he fell
I
in love
haven't
with
seen
her
the show.
instantly because he fell in love with her instantly. I could hear him in the background, like drooling. He was like, "You know who that is?"
He was just so excited somebody else
And I
knew
kept
what an
thinking,
RBMK was.
All I want to see is him shirtless.
Give it time, I'll get him there.
Now, did you go to school or something? Like, did you?
No, it's just a special interest. I figured if my name was going to be based on what's really a global catastrophe and something that really traumatized a lot of people, I owe them the respect of learning about what my name is based on.
Well, what's coming up for you next after you leave us? Where are you off to, or what are you doing?
Next, I'm off to New York just for leisure.
Yeah.
I don't actually know what leisure means, but theoretically I'll be relaxing in New York for a few days, and then I think my next gig is my next thing is Super Bowl.
Oh, really?
When I get back from New York, it's straight into Super Bowl week. Yeah, we're doing Super Bowl Mardi Gras this year.
Oh, that's a lot.
So it's going to be a big blowout.
I'm sure.
I better make so much money.
Does that mean we're seeing your butthole on the internet? No.
No, if I make as much money as I think I'm going to make, no one's seeing me on the internet for a while. You
I'm
will
out.
know I've won the lottery when I have no more internet presence.
That's right. I'm out. I let you off the hook this time because I was going to talk about all the feature chaos that's out there in the strip club industry right now, online or Facebook and Instagram.
I mean, you're welcome to try. The problem is I just don't.
No,
I'm
I
not
love
there. I don't know
No,
anybody
and I love
well
the fact
enough.
that you're not, because I get dragged into it a lot because I read it, but a lot of them are friends of mine. And I'll leave you with this. It seems as though you have kept your head to the ground and done what you're doing and stayed out of that fray, and that's good. I think that there's a lot of friendships to be had in that circle if you can manage to walk around those landmines. Because there's a lot of good women out there. And I think right now there's just some infighting that really needs to be curtailed.
I don't know that it'll ever really go away. It's not unique to the feature industry. It happens in ballet. It happens in burlesque.
Yeah.
It happens within one nuclear strip club.
We just need to all get better at communicating about what our needs, desires, and wants are, or what our expectations are.
And learn the line between professional relationships and personal ones.
There you go. That's one of my...
Just because you work together and you smile and for pictures together and you congratulate one another when you win crowns, that doesn't make somebody your friend.
That's very true. And I think, too, that, and I'm guilty of it myself, I know that there are some lines that you cross unknowingly with people because you think that you're in the adult industry or that you share in some of these visuals that we're all a part of, that everyone is agreeable to all of it. And sometimes you have to pace yourself to, some people aren't into porn. Some people that are in features, they don't want to talk about porn stars, or they don't want to talk about sex acts, or because it's not all connected that heavily. It's connected, but it's not.
The rest of the world puts us all under the umbrella of sex work, but
yeah,
there's a lot of people under that umbrella who don't see themselves as under that umbrella.
That's true. It took me some time to get to there myself, because people would say, well, you're a sex worker, and I would think, that's really not true. And then I thought, well, it is true, because I hire and fire women that are performing nude. I hire male dancers that perform nude, porn stars. We've directed stuff. We create videos with nude people in them. So even myself and my videographer, we choose to be very careful how we talk to our features and what we film them as. And like yourself, I would never want to film you in a way, and he wouldn't either, that makes you uncomfortable. If there's something on stage that you're like, look, I really don't want close-ups of my pussy. Like, that's just not my style. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, yeah, no, you're on my stage, I'm going to film you however I want.
Yeah.
There has to be a level of respect that we all have for each other. And I think that's kind of where the features are coming from right now, is that they don't get that respect.
Yeah. A lot of club owners see the showgirls the same as the porn stars. And while some showgirls are also porn stars, you can't assume that.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
So on that note, are we getting close-ups of your vagina or what? No, I'm kidding.
Good luck. I moved too fast.
That's right. Yes.
Can't catch me.
Shane, get 2 cameras. I want butthole close-ups. No. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. I have to say, since I've met you, I was intrigued with you sitting in the goblet. I was intrigued by your boyfriend with all the tattoos. Now, that was a joke.
Do you want him? You can have him.
Yeah. Hey, no, I've already got my own problems.
You can keep that guy.
Yeah, they. But no, I really was, and I think I kept coming back to your booth just to kind of look at you and see what my thoughts were about how we were going to use you here, because we really never have had like a real good. No, let me rephrase that. I've never had a true burlesque dancer on the stage that's your core.
Yeah, I try to bring some marriage of the two. Like, I have one show where I bring my real sparkly classic burlesque costume, and I've managed to turn that into something that the strip club finds entertaining. But finding a way to marry burlesque with feature dancing is a very careful art.
So if I can leave you with this, the one thing that I did notice, which is interesting, and this wasn't my fear, but this was my caution to myself, is that, and maybe you can give a good answer or response. My fear all along is that people in the strip club don't get what the burlesque performance looks like. They look at it like, oh, you have a nice costume? Take it off. Okay, get on the stage naked, roll around, and dance for me.
And that's not totally dissimilar to just wearing lingerie for a regular man. They want to get it off as soon, like, oh, you look nice, now take it off.
Yeah, and I noticed last night, and this is no fault of yours, because I saw what your show was. I mean, I watched your show. It was a show. I noticed some people were just kind of sitting there thinking, what is going on? I'm not really sure. And I don't think it's because there was any misdirection on your part. I think it's people don't know what they're seeing, because we're just not used to, most people aren't used to that level of a performance. They don't go to burlesque shows. They don't know what they are. It's usually resigned for like older people, gay people, people at a cocktail club in some foreign country.
A lot of women.
Yeah. And so I looked at guys that were even sitting there like, do I throw money at her? Do I wait? Am I standing there? And it's like, it's the same as everybody else. Throw money at them. They love it. That's what they're here for.
Yeah.
Do you feel as though I'm wrong in that critique? Or?
No, I go in expecting people to have no idea what's going on, and so I try to talk to people when I'm on stage a little bit and direct them on how to interact with me. I'll usually get one or two of the house dancers, and I'll talk to them beforehand and tell them, like, hey, I have this audience participation part. You're welcome to come up with your friends. At the pony clubs, the girls are very used to features there.
Yeah.
And they're all very interactive, and I find that helps train the guys what to do.
So tonight you're going to do us a favor. You're going to MC your opening.
Yeah, I'm going to get on the mic and I'm going to bully your customers.
Awesome. That's what we're looking forward to. It's been a pleasure having you. I'm looking forward to your 2 shows tonight. We're obviously going to video record you and give you some promo material, but I've loved having you here. I hope you enjoyed lunch today. We got to see some partial nudity, and now we'll get to see some full nudity later.
I'm working on it.
All right.
Take me to the garden of your